My name is Alex Farmer, and I'm delighted to welcome you back to our multi-part series hosted by Customer Success Excellence, where we interview customer success leaders about what customer success excellence actually means. What does excellence in CS look like? I'm delighted to be joined today by Lihong Hicken, CEO of TheySaid. I will let you introduce yourself in just a second, but it's great to have you here for our conversation. For those of you that may not know, Customer Success Excellence is the world's first awards program dedicated to the customer success profession, and the very first Americas edition, after a successful launch in the EMEA region in June 2022. The Americas edition debuts, let's say, in San Francisco on May 17th. Where are we now? Nominations are open for another week, and we'll be hard at work with our judges. Lihong is one of them. And reviewing all nominations and selecting a shortlist, and then awarding live the winners at our awards gala in San Francisco on May 17th. So I hope to see you there. But more importantly, let's get to the topic of conversation today. What does excellence in CS look like? Lihong, delighted to have you here, and I will give the word to you. Who are you and what do you do? Let's start there.
Thank you for inviting me here, Alex. My name is Lihong Hicken. I am the CEO and co-founder of TheySaid. So a little bit about myself. I come from China, moved to United States about 11 years ago, start my early career as an individual sales contributor and moved my rank to CRO at GitPrime and CCO at TheySaid. And recently had a newborn baby girl, and TheySaid, like I call them twin babies, my company baby and the real baby. So this is who I am.
That's great. We could talk about both of the babies today as well, but I'll start with your company. Tell me a little bit more about what TheySaid does. Why does the company exist?
Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot of you probably know about the company TheySaid. We are a spring out from TheySaid, and TheySaid basically, we are not a CSP or like algorithm that aggregate all different kind of data and putting AI to generate some data. I'm sure there's a lot of value in that. What TheySaid is interested in being a new data source that extract customer sentiment from your existing customer, and to help you figure out why your customers are leaving you, why are they staying. And we do have some kind of product market fit scorecard that will replace NPS. So it's a new data source that you no longer need to do guesswork based on the product usage, based on the NPS. So that's what we do.
Sure. And CSP, of course, customer success platform. And I think one of the things that really excites me about TheySaid is closing the loop of sentiment. You know, if you think about NPS, what you tell me, the average response rate, 7%?
1 to 4% industry average.
1 to 4% industry average. So, you know, if that's what we're relying on for the sentiment score for all of our customers, I think let's do quick math, 96 to 99% underserved, let's say.
Right.
So obviously that's a very important a very important gap to close. And you guys address that, right?
That's right. I mean, our goal is the sentiment can be used to different business department. I guess head of marketing want to know who is a happy customer for, case study. So they don't bug CS leader anymore. They can say, okay, right here. Head of product want to know product feedback. Every department leader want to know what the customer is saying. But what we are trying to do is really help revenue leaders like CS and sales indicate this early signal of customer churn risk and upsell opportunities. The idea is let's serve the customer when they are ready. Why do we talk about renewal and upsell when the renewal term is up? Why don't we talk about that when the customer is ready? So my kind of completely switch the mindset from like thinking about what works for the company to what works best for the customers.
I think that's spot on. You know, the classic NPS survey is once a quarter, once every 6 months. And, it could hit a customer in onboarding or a customer that's about to give you a churn notice. And it's the same question to the same group of people, right? So in some ways, it sounds like you're saying, you're bringing your process to the customer, not yanking your customer into your process, right?
That's right. Yeah. Customer-led, growth. I know a lot of a lot of you parents probably have a book called Baby-Led Weaning. Like baby is a leader on when do they start eating solid food. It's same as this, like customer lead. When the customer is ready to engage with you, we engage them at the right time, at the right moment.
That's great, and I think again, I don't think our conversation is too much about my opinions, but I will give you one more, maybe more than one. Let's see how it goes. But it's great to see, I think, from a customer success technology perspective, these platforms, not platforms, these solutions that solve a specific pain point in that customer success workflow. You know, you mentioned CSP earlier. There's a lot of CSPs out there, and they do a great job at what they do. But I think we've been missing almost the next layer of technology that bolts on top and supplements whatever base platform we have to solve one specific pain. So that's, I guess, again, an opinion, very exciting to see as the market matures for technology in our space.
Totally. I mean, our data enhances your CSP to make your CSP generate score more accurate. That's why we actually partner with Gainsight. Nick Mehta is one of our advisor, and he sees that our data, TheySaid data, enhances the health score Gainsight generates. And then the playbook TheySaid generate can also feed directly into Gainsight CSP. So it's like a whole ecosystem. But the idea is if the data source that you put into the CSP is incorrect or inaccurate to start with, nothing good will come out of it. So
yeah, I think there's an expression that's probably too crass for this forum, but you know, you put something in and you get something out, right? So you're
right.
exactly right, and I think ecosystem is exactly the word, right? You know, marketing tech stack, sales tech stack, they've had ecosystems and complementary systems for a long time, and I think it's just really exciting to see the post-sale CS tech stack really start to proliferate in the same way, where you can add kind of value-added software on top. So that's great. You're leading the charge. Speaking of customer success, here's the segue. Excellence, customer success excellence. One of my favorite things about TheySaid, and now I know TheySaid as well. You're taking a lot of the content, the success happy hour. I think a lot of the great content TheySaid created, podcasts. I think the 2.0 magazine, I think, is coming as well.
Right.
So you guys know, I think you've interviewed a lot of excellence in customer success, and you had them on your podcast. But in your mind, if you think about, you know, this profession, it's been around for 10 years. It's evolved a lot. We're still evolving, especially in this climate, right? So what comes to mind when I ask you what excellence in CS looks like?
Totally. I actually interviewed 500 to 600 companies, CS leader in large and small ones. It's over time, there's a pattern. Now that I've been a CCO before, now that I'm CEO, I can tell you that if you are a CS leader and you don't own a number that the CEO or CFO cares about, you don't have a lot of power and you can't make a lot of influence. And that is a loss to the customer and a loss to the company. So like I have seen a lot of CS leaders don't own any renewal number. Like if you own renewal number or upsell, cross-sell, well, one of these numbers, then you are important because those are numbers the CEO and CFO care about. Now, there's another kind of number where if you are a CS leader and you don't own these revenue numbers, but you own like some other product market fit number, like unfortunately, most of the company today, the CS leader owns number like NPS, CSAT number. Okay, if you own that number, I mean, you can ask your CFO or CEO, do they care about that number? Maybe they'll tell you they care about a number, but do they really care about a number? Can they raise more funding with that number? Can the company be valued at higher valuation with that number? No. So that's I mean, that's one of the problem. In my mind, at least for B2B SaaS, I was talking to Chris intensely about like what metric would you like to own if you are a CS leader? I mean, obvious one is like a revenue number, and for him, it's like I'd rather own a product market fit scores. Alex, you are one of our customers, so you know we have the CPV, customer perceived value, which is our direct replacement of NPS. And he was saying like, if I have a choice, I'd rather only own CPV. Rather than the revenue number. If both, that's okay. The reason why is that if you own renewal number, CS leaders don't control every element of renewal. You don't control product, you don't control pricing, you don't control sales expectation or all the stuff. Yet you have to be responsible for that number. If you own CPV, at least you can surface to the exact level and say, look, this, you know, the we are not solving important problem, or the product is lacking this, or our pricing is really screwing customer up. At least you can actually make difference with the data. So what do you think? What do you want to own, Alex?
Well, you're convincing me more and more that CPV is a great thing to own. I think your point around renewal is a good one. You know, firstly, of course, it's a lagging indicator. So once you influence it, once you learn what happened last quarter, you can't influence next quarter because they already decided if they're staying or going. You can maybe influence it in 6 to 12 months, but the CFO doesn't want to wait for you to influence it for that long because they care about what's happening now, right? And I think the survey, the CPV is a great leading indicator for churn and for growth. So I think there's it's a great tool, and I think what I find most interesting is you know, as a CS leader, when I think about churn, we actually recently did this at my company, Nazaza, where we were creating a drop-down pick list to sort our churn reasons. Why is a customer leaving? Let's start grouping it so we can analyze. Yeah. And one of the ones that I always really gets me is the problem wasn't critical enough, right? So that's not a big reason for us, but when we think about the churn reasons, there are some products out there, and I just find it's almost unfair churn. We did everything right. The customer loved us personally. We gave them value, but the problem that we were solving wasn't critical enough for the customer. So I mean, I know that's one of the inputs to the CPV score, and I think it's just a really interesting input, because at the end of the day, it brings makes value subjective to the customer, let's say.
Yeah, totally. It's almost like a product market fit score. Like, yeah. I guess CEO, CFO, investors care about product market fit. These days, when I see a company with a really high CPV, especially the problem space and product is good, I use this like, can I invest as an angel investor in this company? Because I like a unfair insider intel. But yeah, it's at least for B2B SaaS, I feel like we're getting things dialed in. For other segment, we have to explore more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's again, it's great that the ecosystem is building out, and we could dive deeper into this, right? Because a lot of single suite platforms, they have a survey, but let's further enrich the questions that we're asking at the right place and right time. Right. You talked a little bit about you know, owning the number and being, let's say, relevant in the organization. You know, I think more and more it's clear that CS needs to go beyond kind of the voice of customer program that a lot of companies still is their area of expertise. Also, the point you made about one of the biggest challenges I see around customer success as a function generally is really relates to the point you made around, you know, we can't influence the product, we can't influence sales, but we can't control the product, we can't control who sales sells to. So we inherit different, you know, almost our hand is already dealt, and the hand that we have to play is kind of pre-configured, and then we're asked to do everything we can to get better cards in the deck, right?
Yeah, so unfair.
And I exactly, yeah, exactly. I am a gambling man, actually, but that's okay. So, but you know, I don't know everything about cards, but for me, it's unfair, but also it's unrealistic to you know, basically say, hey, especially, you know, my background and I think your background as well is high growth startups, or scale ups, and you're asked to build out your function while also trying to get better cards in your hand from sales and products, and do those two things at once. And I think it's a tough place to be, right?
Mission impossible. I mean, it's really difficult. Like you say, your cards deal. What I see is like, it's very important. I mean, like, maybe the question is like, what do I envision CS success be like? I mean, revenue leaders are obsessed with the numbers, and like you said, NRR, it's a lagging indicator. With CPV, I can see CS to be the product market fit machine for the company, because you're the closest to the customers. You know firsthand what customers is interacting with. So if you can actually communicate back these information to different department leaders and the CEO, then the people who is in charge of dealing the hands can hear you and say, hey, I don't need this card, give me that card. We can play this game
That's cool.
completely different.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's good. This analogy can go very far. We'll keep throwing in cards and casinos. Let's see how far we get in the few minutes we have left. I have
Sure.
another question for you, because we talked about kind of, business structure and what, excellence in CS looks like. We talked a little bit more about the company and the overall setup. Let's pivot a little bit to personal characteristics, right? So what do you think, when you think of a world-class customer success professional, what are the qualities or characteristics that they need to be the most successful with whatever cards they've been dealt? There you go.
Yeah, so I think the characteristic of a successful CS person is very similar to a successful product managers. So they're very good at understanding the problem, the pain the customer have, very good at listening and solving the problem within their power to that. I think the little bit difference is maybe some product leaders are a little bit more technical, whereas CS leader more focused on human being. But in my mind, they need to understand business, they need to understand their customer, and kind of the two qualities are interchangeable.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. The one thing that I really like as well is tenacity. Like, kind of some sharp elbows every so often. Not like the sales hunter necessarily, but kind of not taking no for an answer sometimes as well. And I find that is always a nice compliment. But yeah, there's a multi-skill role, that's for sure. Last question for you, and now we're going to look to the future, right? Where do you think customer success is going? We talked a bit more about the ecosystem earlier in our conversation, which is great. That was the technology. But as a profession, where is CS going to be in 5 years? And don't worry, I'll invite you back in 5 years and we can see if you were correct. But no pressure, Lihong, no pressure.
Well, I think Chris also posted on this. We talked lengthy about CS leadership, where this is going, because we are personally invest in this industry, and a lot of people in here. And you can see last year, Q3, Q4, I mean, half of the people I know have been laid off. It's been a huge blow, and some of them finally find a job. Still, some of them are looking. We try and helping a lot of these people land new gig. But my seeing is like, if we continue this trend of being the nice guy in the room, being the Mr. Nice, or everything plus department, or like looking at the lagging indicator, or be in charge of things that doesn't matter, like better playbook, better onboarding, like things that your top senior exec don't really care about. This is not a good picture. If we continue this, like one of the world's best retention company, the CEO recently said that if every department is doing their job, we don't need a CS department. Now, this is one of the direction the CS industry is going. Then the other department is, we can see CS take advantage of you knowing the customer, understanding the customers, gather qualitative, quantitative data to power the company to a better product market fit. So it's like the position of CS not being a revenue department, not being a Mr. Nice, not being a supplement to the product team, but the product market fit machine for your CEO and the company. I think that is another path, but much brighter future for everyone.
And if I may go back in time a little bit, we were just in the future, we go back. You were I remember when we spoke about a year ago, when you were with Nuffset, you were the chief customer officer, but responsible both for customer acquisition and customer retention, right? So right. In some ways, you were embodying this change of, we know the product market fit, we know what hypothetical value we can deliver and what actual value we have to deliver, right? And that, I guess you're the living example of that, so to speak.
Yeah, but there is a caveat on that. So if the CCO don't step on it, the previous CRO will take that role. So I was coming from the CRO role, managing CCO before. Now I'm like doing it all myself. So it's like, if you go that route, the revenue past, you're gonna compete with previous CROs.
It's
Whereas
true.
if you create a new product market fit machine, the CROs can't compete with you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I guess from my perspective, you know, I sometimes think customer success was a reaction to sales at all costs and kind of a lack of customer centricity, you know, inside out thinking, right? As we said before, bringing the customer to your process instead of the process to your customer. And maybe in 5 years we have just customer centric leaders, you know, whatever CXO you are, the discipline of customer success has really shifted how we think about B2B customer engagement, regardless of the function. So
I would have to
to
say I disagree. I've seen CS leaders
yeah.
taking initiative and crushing the revenue. So one of our customer, Inscribe, their CS leader Angela was using the TheySaid Post program and craft a really large deal with Brex. So you know.
Yeah.
Normally, you would have to go through many gatekeepers and get to that. But using a simple question, say, will you be interested in this product? They will say yes. And then conversation is started, a deal is closed. So this is an example of CS leader taking initiative, grabbing the revenue, taking the early signal, and get things done, close it.
I love it. Absolutely right. And let's see, lots of different avenues, lots of different predictions. Again, see the same place, same time, 5 years from now, Lihong, and we can figure it out.
We can figure it out.
Excellent. We'll figure it out exactly. If I haven't lost all my money in the casino with my cards and my analogies and whatnot, who knows? That's, I think, all the time we have together. Happy to give you the final word here. Before I do, I think, you know, we talked today about a lot of great examples of excellence in customer success. The Customer Success Excellence Awards exist to find and identify those people. So you mentioned one of your customers. I hope you or someone else has nominated her for an award.
Can I nominate her? Because I'm a judge. I don't know if I can nominate her.
That's true, but you could let her know. Of course, you know, you'll have to recuse yourself, obviously. You know, this is a very by the book awards program, but somebody else can nominate her, and I'm sure she sounds more than deserving. But finding those true operators, right, that are, you know, not you know, as the example you mentioned, asking a question and closing a big deal and using technology to innovate how they do that. That's why we exist. So I'm you know, really excited to have you on board as a judge and TheySaid as a sponsor, and to see you in person next month, May 17th in San Francisco, at the gala. It is not black tie, but you know, we'll dress up a little bit, I think. Last word to you. Anything else that you'd like to add?
If you guys are looking to check out innovative CS technologies, check out TheySaid.io, and I'm looking forward to talk to you.
There we go.
That's it.
What a great way to end. I have nothing more to say. See you in a month, and thanks everybody for watching.